In today's Leeds news, ex-ref calls for FIFA involvement, Gruev picks up award, this weekend's loan watch, lack of goals becoming a concern, and rumour mill stories from the back pages on Lautaro, Rivero, Hedemasa Morita and Buendia. Hey folks, hope you're all doing well. Welcome to the Leeds View for Monday the 23rd of March with your Leeds United news. Jay here. How are we all feeling after the games yesterday? I know there was a lot of tension in the air on Saturday after we did the game against Brentford. We did the instant match reaction, and I think we'd said at that point that how we felt about that point against Brentford will be determined on what happened over the weekend. West Ham losing to Aston Villa. They've got a couple of weeks to sit on that result now as well before they play us in the FA Cup. But it means Leeds have gained a point on West Ham. Spurs losing. Would have preferred a draw in that game. But it could have been a lot worse this weekend. You kind of get the feeling we've got away with one. But there are some things Leeds need to address. The fact that we don't have a game straight after the international break in the Premier League is a good thing, given Leeds' record after international breaks. The FA Cup gives us the dry run against West Ham. Gives us a chance to get a couple players some minutes as well. And then try and work on some of the issues that we will talk about in today's Leeds news. But give me your thoughts on the weekend's point. Now that the weekend is over and that you know all the other results and see where Leeds are sitting right now with 7 games left to go. I would love to know what everyone's thoughts are right now, where you are on the nerve scale at this point. We'll crack on with today's news, then we'll start off with a referee calling for FIFA and IFAB involvement. This weekend we saw another example of tactical timeouts being used in the Leeds United and Brentford game. Another frustrating moment in the match when Queeveen Kelleher went down supposedly injured to get treatment as the sub-keeper laughed his way down the sideline. But it allowed Keith Andrews to get a bit of a stoppage in the game, kill off Leeds' momentum at that point, and have a bit of a sideline powwow with his players. And ex-referee Keith Hackett feels, like most people, that this is now becoming an increasing problem with the game and needs to be addressed as soon as possible. Andrews, in his previous life as a pundit, once criticised Marcelo Bielsa for sending a staff member to go and stand on a public footpath and watch Derby County training during the Spygate stuff, and he said that it wasn't in the spirit of the game. It now appears as a manager that Keith Andrews has forgotten his moral compass and his moral high ground on the situation and will now do whatever he needs to do to try and get a tactical advantage during a game, which is slightly hypocritical of Keith Andrews, which I'm not even slightly surprised at. But Keith Hackett has now called for FIFA and IFAB to get involved in this situation as the Premier League continue to sit on their hands around this issue. And he said the following: "It's difficult for referees. They've got to respond to an injured player. If it's a goalkeeper, then the goalkeeper can be treated on the field of play. What are FIFA and IFAB going to do? They've got to find a way of dealing with this problem for sure. It's stopping the flow of the game. It's an unnecessary stoppage." Hackett says that football really does now need to find a solution to this problem and ways of dealing with these tactical timeouts that are creeping into the game. We've seen them repeatedly across the league, not just in our matches. It's been a problem across the entire league with management. It's not going their way, stopping the whole game in order to have a second team talk to try and fix the issues. And it's been a real problem and has impacted stuff. But I saw Henry Winter this weekend talk about this, and he's saying that, there's nothing really they can do. Referees' hands are tied. Now, you're only allowed to have one coaching staff member in the technical area during a match, including when the game is stopped. There is a way of just booking all the technical staff as they all step out with water bottles into the technical area and the man just steps onto the pitch. You can do that. It's a small minor thing, but it can be done. And the women's game have already started to fix this issue. They've just banned players from being allowed to go over to the sideline when a goalkeeper is getting treated. That's it, done. This isn't massively complicated to fix, but it just seems the Premier League at this point don't want to discuss it, at least until the end of the season. Now, IFAB were supposed to be having this conversation with FIFA. There's no answer that's come from that just yet. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But it's going to continue to be a problem as the season goes on, especially when sides like Leeds, who are scrapping for their life, get a bit of a hold in the game. These teams are going to try and stop the match and kill that momentum. So, yeah, we'll see. Let's move on. Ilya Gruev heads off on international duty this week for Bulgaria, but he's managed to pick up an award in the process. Gruev has been voted Player of the Year for Bulgaria for 2025. He's had a really strong season, Gruev, for club and for country, despite the fact he had a few niggly little issues with the international manager in the back end of last season, but that seems to be water under the bridge at this point. So well done to Ilya Gruev and congratulations on his Player of the Year award. Let's get into this weekend's loan watch. We start off with Largi Ramazani and a fantastic performance from Largi as a number 10 for Valencia as they beat Seville 2-0 away. A goal and an assist for Largi at the weekend. and it moves Valencia into 12th place in the league. Joe Gelhardt started and played 69 minutes for Hull City as they won 3-1 at home to Sheffield Wednesday. Mateo Joseph got 90 minutes under his belt in Mallorca's 2-1 away loss to Elche. No goal involvement in that game and not a great game for Mallorca. Elche have now leapfrogged them above them and Mallorca have dropped into the relegation zone. Jack Harrison started on the bench for Fiorentina and came on in the 69th minute in their 1-1 draw at home to Inter Milan. They are now 2 points clear of safety in Serie A. Isaac Schmidt was an unused sub for Werder Bremen in their 1-0 away win to Wolfsburg. Roy Mahadi was on the bench again for Scunthorpe as they won 3-2 away at Braintree. Harry Gray is out injured right now with a hamstring injury and he missed Rotherham's 3-0 away loss to Michael Scubala's Lincoln, who have now all but confirmed promotion to the Championship. Congratulations to Michael Scubala. Alex Baird started and played 90 minutes for Bridlington in their 2-2 draw with Emily. Connor Douglas started and played 82 minutes for Buxton in their 3-0 home win to Bedford. And Daryl Ombang started and played 90 minutes for FC United Manchester as they won 2-1 away at Warrington Rylands. Decent weekend for some, but strong weekend for Largy Ramazan. He's really having a proper back end of the season for Valencia and he's pushing them right up the table. They're only 6 points away from the European spots now, so crazy season for them this year. But well done to Largy. Good stuff from him. We'll move on. One of the major talking points coming out of the weekend is Leeds' lack of goals, or lack of goal creation, even more importantly, after another scoreless game against Brentford. Daniel Farke doesn't believe that his side have an issue right now with the lack of goals, but the data suggests it is something that Leeds are going to need to address pretty soon. Leeds' last goal in the Premier League came away at Aston Villa, but that came from a dead ball. The last goal from open play was away at Chelsea, and that came on the 10th of February, now the 23rd of March. Leeds' XG over the last 4 games has also declined and hit a low of 0.55. That's the lowest it's been since Leeds lost to Arsenal. Leeds' best period over the course of this season came when Leeds were moving the ball from back to front very quickly, which allowed Dominic Calvert-Lewin to isolate defenders 1v1, win balls, and then when the second ball dropped, Brendan Aronson was picking the ball up in a lot more space and being able to run at teams. Over the last 4 weeks, Leeds have reverted back to the possession-heavy playing out from the back style of football, and that's allowed sides to drop into low and mid blocks, and what that's done is it's just smothered the space. Calvert-Lewin is now having to run through bodies and compete with 2 or 3 players to try and win a header, and when it does drop to Brendan Aronson, he's surrounded by 3 and 4 players. And that all comes from the approach to the game. Leeds not playing quick enough to get the ball into space. And this has all coincided with a drop in goals from DCL and a drop in form from Brendan Aronson. Leeds have got 7 games left between now and the end of the season, and they are going to have to revisit this and try and find a way, because we're reverting back to a long-standing issue that Leeds United have had last season, the year before as well, which was Leeds' inability to break down low blocks and create chances against sides who just sit on the edge of their 18-yard line, and sides are going to do that between now and the end of the season, and you're damn right that Burnley and Wolverhampton Wanderers are going to do it when they get their chance. So it has to be addressed. Isaac Johnson in Leeds Live is a really good piece on this, about Leeds having to pivot again and try and change their approach to games to try and get some goals, as they already did once this season. I personally think they just need to pivot back to what they were doing earlier in that mid-block of the season, where they were going from goalkeeper straight to DCL, counter-attacking quickly with long balls. I know Farke doesn't want to play it, and I know a lot of people don't like that style of football, but needs must. And we were playing to our strengths at that point, and we've gone back to where we were in the first half of the season, where we were tippy-tappy out from the back and slow build-up of play, and it's not benefiting this side, and it's not creating chances. So it does need to be looked at. We'll see if Daniel Farke looks at it over the course of the international break. Most of his players are gone away. Noah Okafor has now been called up for Switzerland as well, so there won't be a huge amount of players around the place to work on this with. They've got the FA Cup game when they come back, but they need to do something if they're going to fix this issue. But let's jump into some rumour mill back page stories. I wouldn't put a huge amount of stock in these. We're covering them because they're back pages. We'll see if they're true at the end of the season, but I'll give you the detail. We start off with Lutara Rivero. According to Sports Boom, they claim that Leeds United, West Ham United and Brighton and Hove Albion have all watched and have some level of interest in River Plate's centre half, Lutaro Rivero. Rivero's just 22 years of age. He looks a hell of a lot older than that though. He has started 10 games already since their season has started in Argentina for River Plate. 6 foot tall, as I say, 20 years of age. He does feel like he's on the young side for what 49ers Enterprises recruitment team tend to go for. They like that 26 to 28-year-old bracket. It does say in this report that Leeds have watched him and there's interest. It doesn't suggest that there's necessarily any immediate interest in the player. And he's a player that Leeds will go for this summer. Could be a case of someone they're keeping an eye on for further down the line or a longer term project. But plenty of clubs keeping an eye on him. Doesn't say if anyone's actually going to make a move for him. The next one to talk about is Hidemasa Morita, a return of an old name. Morita was linked with Leeds United in May of 2025, but nothing at that point materialised for that transfer. According to Saturday's edition of Ebola, they claim that Leeds United will rekindle their interest in Morita this summer, and that Elland Road is the most likely destination for him once the summer transfer window opens. Now, the issue here is Morita is now 30 years of age and is not in what you would classify as his prime years as a midfielder. He's in the back end of his more prime years. His contract does expire at the end of this season, though, so he will be a free agent, and that might change the thinking a little bit. But he, again, if you look at the 49ers recruitment model, he doesn't exactly fit what they normally go for. He's on the other end to Rivero. This season, he started 16 games in the league for Sporting. He's played 26 league games overall, and he's got 2 assists. He's played 9 times in the Champions League this year, so he does carry a huge amount of experience. And as a free transfer, maybe it's something the Leeds look at bringing in to have him around the squad, player to come in and manage games, maybe start the more important games against the bigger sides to try and dictate a midfield. But yeah, as I say, given his age, given what they tend to go for, I don't know if I put a huge amount of stock in this one, but an interesting one nevertheless. And then the other one is we're moving into the Ryan Kent Memorial transfer target of the summer bracket, as Emi Buendia's name has popped up yet again, according to Team Talk. So look, I mean, it's not even a pinch of salt, is it, at this point when it comes to Team Talk? But we'll see. They claim that Aston Villa attacker Emi Buendia will be allowed to leave Aston Villa this summer, and they claim that Leeds United still have interest in the Argentine. They're talking about a fee of around £33 million for Emi Buendia, which seems a bit steep for a 29-year-old who, you know, although he has started 18 games in the Premier League this season, I think Leeds could probably get better value across Europe if they wanted. They're not going to spend stupid money on players if they can get better value elsewhere. It's been rumbling on for a while, but he's had a decent season. As I say, he started 18 times this season. He's featured 29 league games overall. He's got 5 goals and 2 assists, and he's also played 10 times in the Europa League with 3 assists. He's having a far better season this year than he did last year. The injury seems to be behind him now. He's had an impact. He's scored some important goals. I don't know. How do we feel about Emi Buendia? Is anyone interested in him at this stage? You got Gus Hammer in the Championship, who's absolutely tearing it up again. His assist rate for the Championship is one of the highest of any player. So, I don't know. They're all going to pop up again, aren't they? All the same names. Let me know your thoughts. Would you like Emi Buendia this summer? Is £33 million a little bit too high at this stage for the player? I'd like to know your thoughts on it. But yeah, but let me know your thoughts on the current league situation with 7 games to go after we possibly got out of jail a little bit over the course of the weekend. I will be back tomorrow with the podcast tomorrow night. You can check that out. Then you can check out the instant match reaction down below from this weekend's game, and the Sunday sessions with Alex Simon from American and Leeds is available for free on all audio platforms, and the video feed is available to channel members. You can check that out if you want to. Outside that, enjoy the rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon. See you later. Bye.